Hey everyone, my name is Zenia, and today we're talking about the top 5 things to do and see in San Francisco. So, yeah, you guys, I just recently went to San Francisco to cover a pro wrestling show, and that's a separate video. And if you want to check it out, I'll insert a card and put the link in the video description. But San Francisco is definitely one of my favorite cities to visit. It was my second time there with a long, almost 8-year break in between. And I thankfully had quite some free time to explore and do some touristy things. And I'm going to share with you guys top 5 things to do, see, experience in San Francisco in no particular order. We are starting off strong and hot. Of course, you have to take pictures with the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge is definitely a symbol of San Francisco. And it is definitely a sight to behold. It's beautiful. There's a lot of things you can do to experience the bridge. There's several points where you can take pictures with the bridge. If you take the tourist double-decker hop-on, hop-off bus thing, you can ride across the Golden Gate Bridge, which was something I did last time I was in San Francisco. This time we picked the Golden Gate Promenade Trail, which is also great location to just, take a walk, explore. It's a really nice area right next to the water. It's beautiful. The weather this time was a bit severe for a nice leisurely promenade, but that's, in my opinion, a good spot to take pictures with the bridge. If you want to be a little more up close and personal, you can definitely look into some other options, but that was my pick. And cue the pictures. I think I got some really cool shots. And it was really cool coming back there 8 years later, looking like an entirely different person. But yeah, to me, that was a great experience. The most well-known park in San Francisco, the Golden Gate Park, is actually bigger than the world-famous Central Park in New York City. And we did go somewhat close to dusk. What do they call it? Pink hour? Something like that? I wouldn't directly recommend it if your camera or phone can't handle low light. But I do think it yields the most beautiful sky. And of course, I would recommend looking at the weather report and making sure it's not super foggy, because you don't want to arrive to a site where you can't even see the bridge, because it does get foggy in San Francisco a lot. But I do think my go was a success. Then we have Pier 39. I cannot recommend Pier 39 enough. Another thing to see in San Francisco is the famous Pier 39, which is home to lots and lots of adorable sea lions. But not a lot of people know that it wasn't always like that, and the sea lions only came to the pier after an earthquake in 1989. But they've been a tourist attraction ever since. I just think it's so much fun, completely regardless of what time of day or night you go. It's super fun during the day. The sun is shining. There's so many cool shops and interesting little, stores and stands. There's so much great food if you want to have amazing crabs or seafood or pasta or, local California wine. This is definitely the place to be. And this time I did try chocolate-covered bacon for the first time. And it was kind of bomb, not gonna lie. I really liked it. So we're having some dessert at Pier 39. And I got a chocolate-covered Twinkie, which is not that much of an adventure, even though I did not know what Twinkies were until I was 15 years old and saw the zombie movie. But I'm also having chocolate dipped bacon. Cheers. As expected, amazing. I'm just this kind of person. That's who I am. Don't judge me. So, do recommend. I also had the chocolate covered Twinkie, but that's way less exciting than chocolate covered bacon. And the coolest thing that you can find at Pier 39 is definitely the sea lions. You'll be able to find them quite easily. There's, arrows that tell you where to go. And it's just a sight to behold. Those are just completely wild animals that just choose to chill there. And I could watch them for hours. I could literally stand there and watch them and watch how they interact and the sounds that they make and, them sunbathing and wedging themselves between their paints and like fighting for the tanning territory. They're just adorable. And it's definitely something that you have to see if you're in San Francisco. You're going to regret it if you don't. Number 3 is the Alcatraz tour.
Arguably the most famous tourist attraction that San Francisco has to offer is the Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz actually translates from Spanish to English as pelican. A military fort turned the most famous prison in the world, turned a museum, is now just a brief ferry ride away. And that's exactly what we did, and we visited the island.
It's so cool that they actually went twice. I went both times that I was in San Francisco, even though it's obviously the same tour, it's the same place. But it's so interesting, especially if you're the kind of person who likes true crime, which I very much am that kind of person. And you absolutely have to get the audio guide because it's absolutely amazing. It's super immersive. It has abstracts from things written by actual former inmates, by actual former employees. It has all the like sound effects, and it really, really immerses you in the atmosphere. And I do feel like they tell the stories in a pretty respectful manner. Like you're not going to feel like they're exploiting people's stories or like they're romanticizing it. It's very raw. It's very real. It's very interesting. The ferry ride to the island is a bit of an experience itself. We did see a hummingbird right before we boarded the ferry, which was super cool. Also, while you're on the ferry, keep your eyes peeled too, because you're going to get some views of the Golden Gate Bridge. You might see dolphins, which we did. And, you know, the island itself is a national park. So the nature is very carefully preserved there. And you learn a lot about the prison. You learn a lot about the, you know, criminal justice system in the US and its flaws. And you learn about the discrimination against Native Americans. It's just super, super educational, but not in a boring way whatsoever, in a super immersive way. And I couldn't recommend it enough. Then we have the Union Square.
It is not unknown that San Francisco is a city on the hills, but a lot of people assume it's 7 or 9, but actually San Francisco was built on at least 50 named hills.
If you're the kind of person, like me, who likes walking a lot, that's definitely somewhere you should walk to because it's in the very heart of the city. It's surrounded by all the high-end boutiques, and it's surrounded by all the historical buildings, and you're gonna see the little like very characteristic San Francisco vegans going by, and it's just really beautiful. And especially in the spring, when I went, the trees are blooming and it's just absolutely beautiful. And right next to it, there's a Cheesecake Factory, and if you know me, you know that I love Cheesecake Factory. And it's not just Cheesecake Factory, it actually has like a panoramic rooftop type of situation. So for me personally, or if you're anything like me, that is definitely a must go. And last but not least, might be a little specific. If you're in any shape or form a geeky person, I guess, or have any geeky interests, which I don't like this label. I don't like to label myself that, but I guess a lot of my interests fall under the geeky umbrella, and I do collect toys. So one place I would definitely recommend that you go is the Super 7 store. It's the Flagship Super 7 store. I've arrived at one of my must-see points in the city at the Super 7 store. Let's go check it out. If you're not familiar, which if you collect toys, you are 100% familiar, but if you're not, Super 7 is the brand that makes a lot of the official toys for a lot of different, again, quote-unquote geeky things, a lot of movies, a lot of 90s, 2000s cartoons, a lot of wrestling stuff, because they did make the Cardona and Brian Myers figures for the Major Pro Wrestling Figure podcast. And they do make the official New Japan figures. Some of them I have. This time in this particular store, spoiler, they were sold out because we were very much around the time of a wrestling show that we were there. So it was, no surprise that they were sold out. I wish I went earlier. And one thing that they have that's super cool is they have those like super huge action figures. Like I don't have any of those, unfortunately, because I just haven't encountered anything that matched any of my fandoms. But I really want one eventually, because it's one thing to have like a 4-inch, 5-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch pro wrestling figure or any other type of action figure, but they have those huge freaking things. And the store also has pins, shirts, if you're not a figure person, or maybe if you are a figure person but you just didn't find anything that you like, but you still want to commemorate your visit to the Super 7 store. That's what you can buy, but I did buy some things and I'm going to show you guys. Like I said, unfortunately, no wrestling stuff. The one wrestling thing that they did have was an Under the Giant figure, I think. And I just didn't buy that one because, it just didn't quite speak to me. But I did buy two things. First thing I bought is this mini creature from the Black Lagoon figure. And it's from Super 7's Monster series, which is pretty iconic. And I've always proudly proclaimed that Creature of the Black Lagoon is my favorite cryptid. And I do love the hot pink box with the other monsters that they have available, with the artwork on the back. I just think it's such a fun figure to have. And the other one I got is for one of my main fandoms. I do adore SpongeBob. So I did get a SpongeBob figure. Look at that. This is more of a standard Super 7 figure that you would find. Usually they have a bigger card, smaller form. That box is a little more special. They have the whole series on the back. And I love how it's not just like one character, one figure. It's like situational characters, or more like different forms of the same character. Because they have, 5 different SpongeBobs. And I would love a karate SpongeBob. Honestly, they didn't have it. But this one is SpongeBob SquarePants, of course. And they also did have this beautiful double pack of Patrick and SpongeBob in the shape of a heart. I really loved it. I didn't get it because it was a bit bulky. But yeah, this is definitely a fandom that they love enough to where I buy figures all the time. So yeah, you guys, this last one was definitely a bit of a wild card and super specific to a particular audience, but me having pro wrestling content on my channel, I would expect that some of you guys would definitely appreciate that recommendation. But yeah, those have been the top 5 in no particular order. Again, places, things to see for you guys to experience if you're ever in San Francisco. Leave a comment down below. Tell me if you've ever been and tell me if you've experienced any of those places and how you like them. And in the meanwhile, give this video a like if you had a good time. Subscribe, tap the notification bell to never miss an upload. And until next time, bye.